If you follow pro pickleball or any form of pickleball social media, you've probably seen these Hesacore grips come up in your feed with people making lots of claims about how it's a game changer. So today, I'm going to unpack how useful or not useful these things actually are. As a disclaimer, this video is not sponsored, and if a video is ever sponsored on this channel, I will always disclose that. However, Hesacore did send these to me for free as I wanted to make a video about this topic to help you understand if they're worth it or not. I do also have a discount code and affiliate link in the description, which helps support the channel if you use it. Anyways, back to the video. If you don't know what a Hesacore grip is, it's this piece of silicone that you slide over the handle of your paddle with the stock grip removed, and then it adds these textures to your handle that make it easier for your fingers and knuckles to slot into. The idea is that it will give you a better and more comfortable grip on your paddle. They sell for $25 to $30 depending on the model you choose, but if you are going to buy one, you can use discount code PBStudio and that will save 10% on your order. If you've ever been on the Hesacore website, you've probably gotten pretty confused looking at the different options. At least I know the first time I looked at it, I had absolutely no idea what I was looking at. You can break the Hesacores down into three different categories: texture, thickness, and length. First, you need to decide what texture you want. There are three versions: the blue gel, which is the softest and most squishy; the white standard, which is still relatively squishy but a little bit more firm than the gel; and then you also have the black carbon, which is very stiff in the hand and not very flexible. This is going to give you the most defined bevels on your handle and also not squeeze as easily in your hand. Next, you need to decide what handle length your pickleball paddle is. The default size of a Hesacore is 5.25 inches, and the Tour elongated version is 5.75 inches. It's very easy to find out the handle length of your paddle by going to your manufacturer's website and looking at their specs. For most paddles on the market, you're probably going to be fine going with the normal sized Hesacore at 5.25 inches. The main reason I say this is even if the Hesacore is a little bit short, it's only at the top area that you're not getting the bevels, and most people aren't choking up that high on their paddles with one hand. If you are someone who does that, you're going to want to make sure you get the proper fitting Hesacore, but I've used the 5.25 inch one on plenty of paddles and it's been more than fine. The only time that I think you really need the Tour elongated is if you're going to use a paddle like the PaddleTech TKO CX, Engage Pursuit Pro, or Pro XR Signature 13mm, because those all have roughly 6-inch handles. Now, just be aware that if you do need a 5.75 inch Hesacore, they only make that version in the standard white model and not the black carbon or the blue gel. Here are some examples of what a 5.25 inch Hesacore looks like on various handle lengths. Now, the third and final thing that you have to pick is the thickness of your grip. This is where it gets a tiny bit more confusing because they don't offer every thickness in all the models. The three size options are extra small, and that Hesacore is pink, small, and medium. The pink model only comes in a 5.25 inch version of the Hesacore, so if you want the absolute thinnest version of a Hesacore, this is your only option. Then for the white, blue, and black models, they come in a size of small and medium. I took a bread and butter filth, which has a 4.25 inch grip circumference, and measured all of the different Hesacores after adding them to the paddle. The extra small with an overgrip on top came out to be about 4.31 inches, small was 4.43 inches, and medium was 4.56 inches. One thing I will note is that each of these grip measurements felt smaller than what they actually measured as. I think the reason for this is because you have the divots from the Hesacore, it's not an even 4.5 inch circumference all the way around. So it feels a little bit smaller when your knuckles or fingers slot into the grip. But with that being said, just select the thickness based on what you prefer your handles to be. If you like a thicker handle, you're probably going to want the medium. If you want the absolute thinnest possible version, then you need to get the extra small pink. Now here's a simple recap to make choosing easy. If you need a long handle Hesacore, you need to choose the white elongated Tour. No other models come in elongated. If you are sensitive to grip sizes, you will want the pink extra small model as it's the thinnest version. Choose the medium-sized Hesacore if you like to have a larger grip. The black carbon is the stiffest and can feel very rigid in your hand, but it's also going to give you the most texture. All of the other models are a little bit more squishy and have more cushion in them. Personally, the black carbon was my least favorite model and probably not something I would recommend to most of you watching this video. The blue model is the most squishy, but I didn't find it to be that different from the white one. It did feel a little bit softer in the hand, but I think most people are going to be fine with the white regular or the pink extra small. Okay, if you've purchased one of these Hesacores, you have probably experienced how ridiculously difficult putting one of these on is. I think the first time me and my wife tried to do this, it took at least 20 minutes and there was a lot of frustration trying to get it on the paddle. First, you need to remove the stock grip from your paddle. All right, step 2, you're gonna take the tools that are inside of the box and you're gonna throw them away because they're absolutely useless, and I'm gonna show you a significantly better way to do this. Third, take the Hesacore and pour some rubbing alcohol inside of it and then add some to the handle of your paddle. It makes sliding the Hesacore on much easier and is something that you can do in about 10 seconds. Other people have also soaked the Hesacore in warm water for a few minutes to make it easier to slide onto the paddle, but I found rubbing alcohol to be much easier, especially because a lot of handles have leftover residue on them and the rubbing alcohol makes it very easy to slide on. Now make sure that when you're putting the Hesacore on that the logo is on the sides of your handle and not the top and bottom. You can always twist the grip around once it's on the paddle if you didn't set it up properly, so no worries, just make sure you double check before you put an overgrip on. All right, once the Hesacore is installed, you can now slap on whatever preferred overgrip you like to use for your paddle. You do not want to play the Hesacore without a grip on top of it. It wasn't meant to be used this way, and I find it to be very slippery if your hands get sweaty. If you don't know what overgrips to buy, here are some overgrips that I personally recommend. You have the U-Drippin Pro Tour or the Lukey Supreme overgrips. The U-Drippin Pro Tour are more tacky and the Lukey Supreme are more soft and cushioned. I could honestly use either of these and be plenty happy. Now finally, if you do choose to buy the black carbon model, you're gonna wanna boil some water on your stove and then just hold the black carbon model inside of that water for probably 5 to 10 seconds. This just loosens it up and makes it easier to slide on. However, I did still find that it was pretty difficult, so just be warned that this one is not particularly easy to install. Finally, you can reuse these if you get a new paddle. You can simply unwrap the overgrip, roll off the Hesacore, and then slide it onto the next paddle. Now let's go over the reasons you might want to buy a Hesacore. In my opinion, there are really only 3 main reasons that you'd want to buy one. 1, you want your grip to have some texture. Some people are going to love or hate having these grooves all over the grip. Some people find it really nice to lock their fingers in place, while other people find it annoying that it kind of limits where you can put your hand on the paddle and feel really comfortable. Ultimately, you'll just have to try one and decide for yourself if you like it or not. There's not really a way for me to convey to you how much you're going to like or not like those grooves. 2, they lower the balance point of your paddle. Balance has been a bit of a hot topic recently, and eventually I'm going to do a deep dive video breaking down all of it for you, but for the sake of this video, adding a Hesacore does add weight to the handle of your paddle, which can make the weight feel more evenly distributed on your paddle and give you a sense of the paddle being easier to swing with a lower balance. Now, number 3 is vibration dampening. While there is no hard science that I have seen about how much a Hesacore will dampen vibrations, it does feel pretty clear to me that adding a piece of silicone over your paddle would dampen some vibration. Now, I personally never felt that I noticed a big difference between one that did and didn't have it, but the website does talk about that, and more than likely, I imagine it's true. It's more just how much does it actually dampen that vibration. Personally, I would not solely buy a Hesacore if you were just hoping to dampen some vibrations. Probably does it a little bit, but I don't think it's going to drastically change the feel of your paddle. If none of those reasons sound appealing to you, then Hesacores probably just aren't for you. The way that I have been explaining it to people is that it simply provides a new texture to your handle that can help lock your fingers in place or provide a nicer feedback to your hand. Hesacore markets these as being able to give you more feel and more control, and honestly, I don't find that having a Hesacore made me control my paddle any better. Maybe for some people having a slightly thicker grip, it would give them a sense of better control because now they're gripping their paddle not as tightly, but there was never a point in time where I went, yes, this paddle that I am using now has better control because it has a Hesacore. So just know that your mileage is probably going to vary on that claim. At a price of $25+, these are a bit expensive for what they are. Though I suppose the one saving grace is that you can keep reusing them on other paddles, so it's not like you need to re-buy a new one every time you get a new paddle. But still, that isn't really cheap. Now, with that being said, I do really like these Hesacores and plan to keep using them on my paddles. I've been using them for probably the last 2 or 3 months, and when I don't have one on my paddle, it does feel a little bit odd. That doesn't mean I can't use a paddle without it. I could probably go interchangeably and not complain too much, but if I have the option of having a Hesacore on my paddle, then I'm personally going to choose to put one on. My favorite one right now is the pink extra small because I like not having a lot of extra bulk on my handle, and I find that this one did that really well. So yeah, I'm a fan of these and definitely like them, but at the end of the day, I wouldn't call these a game changer. I don't really think it's going to make a massive impact on your gameplay. It's just something that's going to make your handle feel a little bit different, and some people might like that their hand is locked in place a little bit better than it was before. So there you guys go. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.